I think it is. Well, this isn't a weird time to see. It's 2:30 on Tuesday afternoon. It's March 5th. What are you up to? Everything seems to be working. Well, that's promising. This is the late show. At least it is for us. We're used to being live at 10 a.m., but stuff and things got in my way. I wasn't here. Well, I was sort of here, but I had other stuff to do. So this is the late version, not the late version, just the late version. So it's the Tuesday, March 5th, ASKaTrafficCOP. Want to talk? Want to tell me about stuff that's going on in your world, specifically related to traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff? Yeah, reach out. I see that we got some people popping in on Instagram. Hey, Instagram, if you want the best ability to see us and interact with us, jump over to YouTube. You can get this at youtube.trafficcop.ca, just because it'll ensure that we see your comments. Don't always see the comments when it's on Instagram because it's way over there on the third little camera off to the right. It's quiet. People are going home. Michael says, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Michael. If you are watching, you're probably on one of these channels, the ones that stream video and audio. Yeah, it's TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Kick. Oh, yeah, and Twitter. Well, X. If you're on any one of those, you can ask questions. And like I said, Instagram, just so you don't feel left out, the best response is to jump over to YouTube. But hey, if you like Instagram, who am I to judge? After the show is done, we download it. We put it out onto Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, a whole bunch of different platforms. If you want to follow us there, you can certainly download, synchronize, and catch us after the fact. And that way you don't get in trouble for watching the live on a screen. Because that's a problem. That's against the law. That's distracted driving. And we do issue tickets for that. Getting right into it, I want to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are a dedicated group of officers who focus on changing driver behavior one ticket at a time. They do such a good job of it. They are the folks who are out there issuing tickets to the people who engage in the Big Four. The Big Four are speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. Those are the offenses or the behaviors that we know lead to serious injury and death on our road, so we spend the most time focusing on that. If you don't want to get pulled over and charged for it, you should probably avoid committing the offenses. There's no shortage of people who are choosing to engage in that kind of behavior. It's unfortunate, but people are doing it anyway. And Paul jumps in with, it's the late show with Sean Shapiro. Maybe we need a late show. Going on and finishing with apparently Twitter's apparently having some issues, or was it Facebook? Somebody's having issues today, technology-wise. I'm hearing rumors. But what do we have here? Back to the Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Being that it's the 5th of March, we have officers focused on doing some education in 13 Division and 42 Division neighborhoods like Yorkdale, Glen Park, Briar Hill, Witchwood, Oakwood, Vaughan, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Rouge, Scarborough. And they are not necessarily all in one place. There's lots of them. They may be in those neighborhoods. They may be all in other areas that are serviced by those divisions. Heck, they might be out of that area. I'm trying to say that you can't just avoid the areas they're in, trying to prevent getting tickets. It's the behavior that leads to charges, and any police officer in the city of Toronto can lay charges. It's not just traffic cops. We can all lay traffic charges. Isn't that great? Isn't it good to know? I like it. Let's see here. We'll talk a little bit later on about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, because that's always good stuff to talk about. And, so John says, with all the systems that are down today, they figured it was stuff that messed me up. No, other things to do messed me up. And you may notice that part of the studio is back in action. I had to take some of the show booth things. And basically, when we finished Auto Show, everything that was at Auto Show lived in my office. I've taken steps to change that and put things back where they belong, reassemble, show booth stuff. And, we're working our way towards the nice, clean office that it's never been perfect, but we're working on it. Anyway, So if you got questions about traffic safety, I guess, maybe people in this time don't know who I am. Maybe they're not used to seeing us. Well, we should clear this up. We should have a little introduction. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here. And today, warm Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and we talk about traffic safety, traffic law and police stuff in general. But if you have questions, we talk about stuff. I now see that there's questions coming in on TikTok, but of course, why would things work properly with our link? Let me see if I can fix that. Let me see if I can fix the link. We'll give it a try. Sometimes we can hit a button. We can sort of we can sort of what are we going to call it? We're going to call it bump starting it. Yeah, we can try and bump start it. Go to the bot. Choose relay mode off. Maybe I refresh the screen. This is live and a live action trying to fix the computer system. And what we're trying to do is get our TikTok comments to come onto the big screen. But we don't have to rely on it. Now, Landon wants to know how I can go on a ride along, or how he can go on a ride along with the Toronto Police. If you're in a program with whether it be journalism or law enforcement, something related to knowing more about policing, you can certainly talk to a recruiter and see what you can do. If you have someone that you can speak to, I have nothing to do with it. You'd be going out with a sergeant, not a PC, and it can be done. For a long time, it wasn't happening because of COVID and whatnot, but now I'm sure it can be done. Just need to talk to folks at headquarters or at a division who can arrange it for you. All right. Camaro wants to know if people are above the law. No one's above the law. There are exemptions to the law. So apparently Facebook and Insta were down, but they're back up again now. That's good. Thanks, BJ, for the update. Let's see. Why is it that the 401 always blocked up but never shows collisions? Well, just because it's slow doesn't mean it's as a result of a collision. It could be because of just general people don't know how to drive and go slow. And I mean that in the nicest of ways. If people speed up and slow down and accelerate and then catch up to slowly moving traffic, it causes all sorts of caterpillar-like reactions. It's terrible. But it doesn't always have to happen because it's congestion. It's just not good. But I don't know. I don't know exactly what causes the entirely horrible option of bumper-to-bumperness. Let's see here. Triple B says, sup. CJ says, why is there being a police command center parked in a parking lot? I don't know what's going on in that particular parking lot. There are stuff and things that go on which cause command centers to be placed in different places in the city. But the Jane and Driftwood, I don't know. Do they have camera speed traps in Toronto, and do they affect your points? So automated speed enforcement is in Toronto and in many jurisdictions in Ontario. It doesn't impact your insurance. It is laid against the plates, not the driver, and you can't renew your license unless you pay your fine, but you don't have your insurance impacted the way a regular ticket would be. Hey, Thin White Line Interceptor is watching, and I see you. How's it going, Ryan? Okay. Base Guy 86 wants to know, well, actually, I don't know what they want to know. They just wrote front plate, which I can assume it has something to do with a front plate, but I don't know what you actually want to know. Like, is it illegal not to have one? And the answer to that would be yes. If you're registered in Ontario, your vehicle is, it would be against the law not to display your front plate. Michael wants to know if he can go for a ride-along with Sergeant Campbell. I don't know if he does ride-alongs. He's not a PRU. He's not a primary response sergeant. He does other stuff and things, so he's not really on the road. Do we have a form of rights that have to be said before arrest? That's John who wants to know. And most people compare it to what they see on TV, the Miranda rights. Yeah, we do read you something. And rights to counsel is what we read. Okay. If you see two cars going 140 on the highway, who are you arresting? 140 may not be an arrest. It may simply be a speeding charge. But who am I stopping? I'm going to stop the person that I stop. I would try and stop both of them if I could. But I guess whoever the winner is. Okay. Conky wants to know. Oh. After this unusually mild winter, do you believe there will be a decrease in the use of winter tires next year? That is something I couldn't forecast, and I don't think that next year we'll have a mild winter. I think this was an anomaly. I assume we're going to have a slam in winter next year, which I'm not looking forward to. If I never see snow again, I'm okay with that. All right. Okay. Amber Hill says, my mother-in-law was a victim of police brutality. What do I do? Put in a complaint. Seek a lawyer. Get advice. Spark Crew says, hey, greetings from Trinidad and the Caribbean. I always get, it's Caribbean or Caribbean? Which is the most appropriate way of saying that? Because it depends on which movie I'm watching and which day of the week, and everyone says it differently. Either way, Spark Crew, what's going on? Sheldon, thanks for the follow. Okay, question from Sir Alex Gaming, I'm guessing. I only see part of the name. Could some from the state move to Canada? Could we become a law enforcement? So you have to be a citizen or a landed immigrant, a permanent resident here in order to be a police officer. You can work for the police service if you have a work permit, but to be a police officer, you have to be a citizen or permanent resident. Okay. A bunch of stuff. And I wish this was working properly because it's so much easier. That might make this live a little shorter than I'd like, because if I can't see the interface, it really bothers me. All right, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. What happens? What happens if someone is not located for a hit and run? Sadly, that's what insurance is for. If it's a hit and run involving a pedestrian, there are means that you can apply for compensation. But ultimately, we do our very best to identify people who are involved in hit and runs, but it doesn't always work. Okay. We got, can you issue a ticket on a business mall? It's not considered private property. Audrey Scott wants to, what do you mean? So Highway Traffic Act is pretty straightforward. You have to be on the highway. Private parking lots are not the highway. So we can issue parking tickets on private property. There are some charges like stunt driving, which apply on private property. But otherwise, generally tickets can't be issued on private property. Now, they can be issued on private property for events that took place on the road. If we follow you into a parking lot, that's something we can do. Depends what you're asking. And maybe more. And there are some acts like the Metrolinx and TTC have special jurisdiction or acts that apply to their property. They can't issue tickets, so it depends on what you're talking about. Tracy says, hi, glad to see you, but why are you on now? I'm on now because I had to start my shift later because of stuff and things in my not at work life, which meant everything got shifted and I'm still at work. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to see people who we don't normally see at 10 o'clock. The opportunity to see people in the afternoon who never see us. Maybe this is a great time to go live all the time. I don't know. We only know when we go live and try it out. But that's why. Let's see here. Okay. Dollar. Well, it's dollar sign. And they said, is it safe? Come on. Every time I scroll back. Is it safe to use airbags on your car? Oh, you mean like air suspension? I don't know. The deal is if you're riding with it and it's not the appropriate height, expect to get investigated. But I don't think airbags are a good option because if they blow, you're on the ground. That's for people who are, raising and lowering their suspension. There should be minimums and maximums, and I don't know enough about it. If it's not being run properly or meeting the requirements, it could obviously get you into some problems. I see vehicles that when they're parked, they're resting on the ground, and if that were to, if the system were to fail and you lose pressure, that's a problem. I would say it's an unsafe vehicle. But I'm sure there's ways to do it legally. I just couldn't tell you how to do that. Alex says, dude just decided to wear a yarmulke. No, read my last name. Didn't just decide. Let's see here. What do we got? Hunter says, met you at the Toronto Auto Show. Was the guy who said he got a stunt driving switched to unnecessary noise? That's an interesting thing. But yes, good to meet you at the auto show. I don't remember you telling me it went to unnecessary noise. I thought it was a different church. Either way, anything could happen. And of course, my page just had a problem. Let's see if I can reload that. Hopefully, we don't lose the folks watching on TikTok. But everybody on the internet's apparently having issues today. All right, let's go back and see what's happening on other platforms. Okay. Michael says, regarding the question about photo enforcement, the photo enforcement cameras are not traps, like they said. Photo enforcement is even advertised by sign. No demerit points here because ticket goes to owner. Yeah, so I agree in that. What's going on here? Big problems in little TikTok? Trying to reload. Here we go. So yeah, people are getting held accountable for their actions. And it's not a trap because we're not enticing people to do it. We are simply catching people breaking the law. They're choosing to break the law, or maybe they've just made an oopsie-doo, but you're still responsible for it. Sean needs a partner. Then Sean can live a few times daily, or Sean and partner can swap desks and partner goes live in the afternoon. It's an interesting concept. I actually think that would be a great, it would be a great way to do it. If we had more people doing this, absolutely. I'd be all over it. We need people to do this. What if I'm sick? And that's what happens. If I'm not here, it doesn't go on. All right. How illegal is it to skip school? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm not the skip school police. I mean, if you're 16, I think you can sign yourself out. And then you just deal with the fact that you are, you're missing out on an education, which is sad because then you don't get one. But truancy is not something that I'm well-versed in, so I couldn't tell you. Can I drink an alcohol-free beer while driving? Technically, you can. There's no alcohol in it. The restrictions are alcohol, not things that taste bad. I think alcohol-free beer, ugh. I'm not a big beer guy. There's very few brands that I like. Can you take back a ticket, for example, if it's printed and a mistake or something? So if I find an error when I issue it, I would reissue one and give you the proper one. I would never issue the error one knowingly. But generally speaking, you can contest that in court if you see an issue. Obviously, we issue it thinking it's correct. Very rarely will it be withdrawn. Jay Costa wants to know about diplomat vehicle able to be stopped by police. Yeah. A car with diplomatic plates? Sure, we'll stop a vehicle with diplomatic plates. They don't get a carte blanche to do what they want. They still have to follow the rules. What happens afterwards may change, but we're gonna lay charges and whatnot. Okay. What is the fastest speed I could go before losing my permit? I have 4 points in Quebec. I don't know what the Quebec rules are. I don't know what status of license you have. Ultimately, when you start accumulating points, bad things happen. That's how it works. The more points you accumulate, you lose your license. But you can get suspensions. You can get some nasty grams. I just don't know what the rules are in Quebec. All right. Is it okay to go 150 in a 40 school zone? A silly person wants to know. I'd arrest you for 150 in a 40 school zone. So criminal dangerous driving, I think, would be appropriate. Can we call in to ask questions? That's Chef Kitchen. No, we don't have that. We could do that, but we don't have that ability set up. Maybe one day. Okay. Country Boy says airbags go in the springs. If they fail, you're still on the spring. Some, I think, are like that. I don't think all. That's when we talk about airbags. I think that's why I say it depends because they can be configured differently. If it's simply something that has a backup system, then I think you'd be okay. But I don't know enough about them to give you permission or authorization. Yeah, I've never written a ticket for them. And I probably didn't know they had them. Mind you, if you're bouncing around and changing your ride height and doing all sorts of crazy things, that I would charge someone for. When you're raising the suspension so high that the camber is off on the tires and they're underneath. Have you seen those extreme videos of vehicles bouncing and whatnot? To me, that is something that needs interaction or intervention. To think about that. All right. Why there are many drivers that hide the plates with a black cover? Because they don't want to get caught. They don't want to be identified. And I'm sure you mean tinted cover. It's to make your car look cool or avoid detection, or both. But it's not legal. Do you need to do a polygraph to become a Toronto police officer? No, the province of Ontario does not require a polygraph, and that is a thing. Now, I have 2 microphones here, and it's because I haven't tested this yet. But what do you think of this microphone? Oh, it's different. Interesting. This was lent to me by a friend of mine, and he likes this microphone more. I haven't decided yet because this is like the first paragraph out of my mouth whilst using it. What do you think of this? Is this better? I'm not sure. Okay, going back to questions. Going back to the other microphone as well. Very interesting. All right. Toronto police tickets are pay to win. I don't agree. I've gotten every ticket forgiven, just got to hire ex-coppers, money talks. I disagree again, but I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I've seen many convictions with ex-coppers or other companies. Just because you hire somebody and just because you get a reduction doesn't mean you've won. You've gone there, you've spent money to defend yourself, you've probably pled guilty to a lesser offense. It's not a win just because you didn't get the full amount of points on your license. It's so much easier just to be a good human and actually follow the rules. The ones that are intended to protect society from people like you. Just don't be that person. Don't be the person who puts other people's lives at risk because you want to showboat or do silly things or just blatantly, flagrantly throw caution to the wind, ignoring the law. It's not. I don't think it's a big tough guy thing to say. I just threw money at it and it went, lesser or lower or away. Anyway. They want to know, why is the law forgiven when paid through ex-cop? It's not. They're negotiating for you. All right. Can you give a handicap parking ticket in a parking lot? Is it not considered private parking? Parking laws and bylaws for parking are different than Highway Traffic Act offenses. So yes, we definitely issue handicap or accessible permit offenses or tickets on private property. That's different. If you're talking about tickets being issued for moving violations, that's something where there are very few that are really just stunt driving. Okay. If you're at a stop sign and you're on your phone, does a red light camera catch it? If you're at a stop sign and you're on your phone, does a red light camera catch it? That's Fran asking, and the answer is they're not at all related. First of all, red light cameras are at red lights, not stop signs. Secondly, they're not phone cameras; they're red light cameras, which means you have to enter the intersection on a red light. So you've provided an environment where it's a stop sign and a cell phone use. Like, they're just completely unrelated events. Yeah. There's talk about bringing automatic enforcement for all sorts of things. I think it would be great if we had cell phone enforcement through camera. I think it'd be great. Hi from Napanee, Ontario. Love your show. Thanks, Chuck. Much appreciated. We're here for you. Have you seen this before? Is this a better time for you? I want to be able to, occasionally provide a time when we go live that helps a larger group of people, or at least very different people, because 10 a.m. is kind of hard for some people, even though it works really well for us. Anyway, thank you very much for the thank you or for the compliment or the feedback, whatever it is. I appreciate it. We already had the, can I drink free beer while driving? Alcohol-free beer. So we talked about it earlier. Yeah, it's just, a less good tasting beverage, but you can drink. Again, I don't understand that. I'd prefer a Diet Coke or something. Can a passenger drink alcohol? No, you cannot consume alcohol in a motor vehicle. It doesn't matter if it's parked, if it's driving, if you cannot have alcohol in a vehicle being consumed, even being open. And then, Caribbean Poppy. I did not read that very well. Says, why can limos serve alcohol and normal vehicles can't? They cannot. Limos in Canada cannot have open alcohol. It is not lawful. They do it at their own risk. They risk losing and being charged, and it's not legal. And some people just totally ignore that and put the drivers at risk. And maybe they're doing it for tips. I don't know what makes it worth their while. I think it's silly. They're putting themselves at risk. Can you cross a yellow solid line in a single lane road to overtake? Would it be illegal? It's unsafe. It's not suggested, but it's not illegal to cross the line. It is illegal to do whatever it does afterwards. In other words, if you cause a collision, you're going to be charged for it. But crossing the line isn't an offense that you would be charged for. Okay. Is it legal to make a right turn on red for both right turn lanes or only the rightmost lane? So Mike, let's see what your full username is so I can properly. Mike Keeping 71 wanted to know that. And the answer is it's actually legal to make a right turn from two right turn lanes. So if you have, I always use the example of Leslie in the 401. That is a situation where both right turn lanes are eligible for turning right on a red. You have to make sure that, one, it's safe to do so. Two, you've come to a complete stop. I guess maybe complete stop would be one, and then safe to do so is two. And you have to go into the appropriate lane. So curb lane to curb lane, and the next lane over would then go to the appropriate next lane over. Yeah. Hi, Linda. I see your message there. She says, "Hi, hero. You have an amazing teaching show. Thank you." You're very welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it. And what do we got here? But I did grow up thinking it was not lawful. I thought the curb lane was the only one permitted. Zine says, "Hi, Sean. How are you?" Hi, Zine. I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, maybe I can do this. This is probably easier. Well, no, I can't do that. Crud. It's very frustrating when things don't work the way I want them to. Just saying. Okay. Michael Rose says, "Money talks. The guy who killed my parents was the owner of a software company and paid his way out. Only got $90,000 in fine and a 1-year license suspension." That is terrible, Michael. I'd like to see much more serious sentences. I'd like to see severe sentences for people who take other people's lives or hurt people. So I'm very sorry to hear that you suffered through this. It's terrible, truly. That's one of the reasons I want people to follow the law, is I don't want more people to be in a situation like you where you've lost loved ones. So my heart goes out to you. Okay. What is the stay back 150 meters in the back of fire trucks for, and you need to do it at a red light? It's intended for when it's actively working a scene. It's not intended for when you're in traffic. Why someone who is not disabled can park at my condo handicap spot? Well, I don't know what you're using to determine whether or not someone has an accessibility issue or not. You don't have to be in a wheelchair to have accessibility issues. It's about how far you can walk, without issue. In fact, I think that there are mental health issues that could now get you cleared to have an accessibility pass. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what those requirements are, but it is not for us to determine whether or not you see a physical disability to justify them having it. It's about whether or not a doctor has signed off on it, and if the certificate is in their name, if they have the permission to use it. Now, also, something to think of is that the person they're with may be eligible, may not be the driver. Either way, if they have a permit, they're permitted to be there. Okay. Apparently, they have cell phone detection cameras in Edmonton, Alberta, which is cool. I'd love to see it come here, but I don't know how close that is to happening or if it will ever happen. Do you have to let an officer know if you have a concealed firearm during a traffic stop? Well, considering that in Canada, there are no in Ontario, there's no concealed weapons permits. I don't believe there are any in Canada anymore. It's only police that can carry firearms for other than like armed guards can carry in uniform, but there's no concealed weapons permits that are issued to my knowledge anymore. So I'm assuming you're in the United States, and that would depend on the state that you're in. Okay. Why is it so illegal to modify my exhaust? As long as it's not very loud, it should be fine. I appreciate that you want to make your car your own, but there are both loud noise or limits to how much noise you can generate. And there are decibel limits for even bylaws. We have a new bylaw. It's new to motor vehicles as a whole. It used to be motorcycles only, but 92 decibels at idle or 96 decibels at anything above idle will get you a $500 ticket in the city of Toronto. And that's because you're making people miserable in Toronto. Nobody wants to hear your car. Now, unnecessary noise could be anything. It could be based on driver behavior, could be based on modifications, defect, all sorts of different things. And that's another $110 fine that would be eligible for a vehicle that is making too much noise. Are you allowed to have a flag on your car? Yes. You can't prevent your windows from being, depending on the window, which window, you can't block an entire window. Or block your ability to see to the rear of the vehicle or interfere with other vehicles. It has to be properly attached, but having a flag, we have flags on all of our vehicles. All police vehicles have Canadian flags on them. At least ours do. Hattie says, good afternoon, officer. Good afternoon, Hattie. You want to know about private jets? What do you want to know about private jets? Evenings would be cool once a week or something. Glue Clog 69. Okay. I think that once a week would be cool. Which night would we do? Yeah, I'm up for trying new things in terms of new schedules. So you tell me what you think would be the best time, and we'll put a survey up on our feeds, on our socials, and try and get an idea of when we should do this, and try and do once a week. I think that is a good idea. When did the definition of highway change to include parking lots? The highway doesn't include parking lots, and the laws state either on a highway or anywhere. Like the Criminal Code of Canada, it's anywhere. So it depends on the charge. And it's that even though the name of the act is highway, the area that it covers for each law is different. Why are most guns strictly regulated in Canada? Because we want to protect people, and I don't necessarily agree with all the recent changes, but those are the laws, and we follow them because that's what we do as good people. And then other people go and fight on your behalf to change those laws back, because that's what they do. You know, you become a member of organizations, and they go and lobby on your behalf. Traffic Cop Thursdays. You think we should do Thursdays? Interesting. Maybe that'll become a thing. Will guns ever be unbanned? They're not currently banned. They are, what do you call it? Like there's unrestricted, there's restricted, and what's currently banned is the sale of handguns. Thoughts on, what is this? Thoughts on the new shields, says not a real cop. Are you asking a question? Are you asking me thoughts about things? What exactly are you asking about? Are you alleging that I'm not a police officer? You'd be wrong. What do we got here? Oh, they say you sit in a desk. I don't sit in a desk. I sit at a desk all day, and do you know real cop work? I know you did in your past, but it's time to retire. I got 8 years till I retire, and not all police work is on the road. There's a lot of things that we do as police, like education, training. I'm teaching you something. I teach police officers some things. I do a lot of different things. Not everything is about driving a car and pulling people over or responding to calls. So I appreciate your input, but you're wrong. All right. What is this? Please look up the definition of highway under the HDA. It includes park. Oh, you're saying that they've actually included it with access to. Yeah, not exactly. It depends on. There's some depends there. I know what you're talking about. Want to join TPS, but I'm in the middle of college. Can I apply when I'm in school? You can apply whenever you qualify, and that means that you can apply when you are at college. But many people want to finish their degrees or their diplomas before applying. At the end of the day, apply when you qualify. That is it. Linda says Linda says that they believe that only police should carry guns. A lot of people agree with you. And what is this? We got John Kern says, would you know parking lots and spots for mothers with child, electric cars, etc., malls, ticket to buy? Oh, okay. Private property can erect signs that stipulate what people do, and then you can get a ticket for doing anything that, like, if you're in a painted line area that you're not supposed to be, they can actually have tickets issued for that. If there's a specific bylaw related to that offense, they can have tickets issued for that. So, yeah, they're enforceable. Mall cops, I like that. Police, parking enforcement, and MLEO. So basically people who take a course to ticket on behalf of the city. They can all do that. And Linda is identifying that somebody is a rude caller. All right. Let's see here. What do we got? Michael Anthony Coyle says, thanks for keeping us informed and helping us with the advice. You're very welcome. Can a cop tow me for tint after 2 written warnings from him? So we can, if the tint is making your vehicle unsafe for the road, we can pull your plates and then you'd have to get yourself towed. The warnings are the choice of the officer. I wouldn't give somebody warnings. I would just take their car or their plates and then have to get towed home, depending if the tint was such that it violated the law, the safety regulations, to the point where it was an unsafe vehicle. People have been known to remove the tint roadside to prevent their vehicles from being towed and their plates being taken. Let's see here. Interesting. Mugline says if police could be the only ones who could carry for guns, who would hunt for substance would lose our What is this? A way of feeding our family? Hunting is different than carrying concealed firearms. That's what we were talking about. Okay. What health, including mental evaluations, do you have to have done to obtain a job with the OPP? I couldn't tell you. The OPP is not who we are. We're the Toronto Police Service. What I would suggest doing is going to the OPP website. They have a recruiting. They have a recruiting page. They have all that information on their webpage. And if you're interested in looking at the Toronto Police Service, you can go to www.tps.ca/careers. And if you go to that page, you'll go here. And you can scroll through and find out what all the requirements are. It's all here. Things like being a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, being 18 years or older, being physically and mentally able to perform the duties of the position, having regard to your own safety and the safety of members of the public. And it goes on and on. There's medical, there's physical, there's educational requirements. All of those things are here. Check it out. It's here for you to peruse. Cool. Back to this. Let's see here. Shakira says, so he wasn't lying, but he'd take my plates away. No, he was not lying. We would absolutely, for an unsafe vehicle, take your plates. Can I have amber headlights? You can. You're allowed to project yellow or white to the front. That is it. Is underglow illegal? Not specifically, but it could violate other laws, other regulations, like you can't project anything than yellow or white to the front. If your underglow is projecting light forward that is other than yellow or white, that's a problem. But if it's projecting yellow or white to the front, it's probably also projecting it to the rear, which would also be illegal because you can only have amber or red to the rear. So there are problems. What do you think there's a general, what is this? RDS wants to know why I think there's a let me read this again. Why do you think there's such a strong distrust of police by the general public? Because I think people have got it wrong. That's what I think. It is all about people helping people, and I think that media has twisted some things. I think that stories and narratives have been taken out of context, and I think a lot of people think that we're the American police, and there are issues in America that are different than issues in Canada, and I think that's a thing. So we are not the same. Something happens there does not mean it happens here. And I'm not suggesting that everything in the States is wrong. I'm just saying that people have taken things out of context. Does Peel have a prison? I don't know if they have any jails. I'm assuming they must. Do classic cars need to be modified to comply with new vehicle noise regulations? Unnecessary noise would still apply, but they don't have to meet modern regulations. Like if they don't have a muffler because they were manufactured without a muffler, they don't need a muffler. Got a ticket for an expired license. He forgot to include the driver's license number in the ticket. Do I have a case? If it's somewhere else in the evidence, they could possibly amend it. You certainly have an opportunity to take it to a prosecutor for discussion or a day in court and try, because you have the right to. I would suggest downloading the defendant's guide to POA court. Get information there before you waste your time going to court. Find out first. If you truly had an expired license, like expired, maybe your driver's license number doesn't apply. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I'm not sure. Get some legal advice. Are yellow fog lights illegal? No, yellow fog lights are absolutely legal. Blue fog lights would be illegal. Are you able to take out a muffler, or is it a crime to be really loud? It's against the law to be really loud. You cannot have really loud mufflers. It's not legal. Let's see here. We got some questions that I've been ignoring on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. CR says, late stream. Yes, it is a late stream. I had a late start this morning, so we did a late stream to see what kind of action we have in the afternoon. We're, by doing it at 10 o'clock, we have the same people who are always available, and we love those people, but there are other people we never get to see. So this is an opportunity to expand to a different audience. All right, Jay Kearns wants to follow up. A ticket done by mall cops go against getting your plate renewed. A ticket that is a parking ticket would, in fact, if it's issued for the City of Toronto or a municipal licensing, then it would go against your license renewal, your plate renewal, not your license. If it was a private property ticket saying, like York University, no. If it's a York University ticket, they can prevent you from graduating, but they can't prevent you from renewing your license. Oh, apparently, thank you, Linda, for looking it up. Linda says that in Peel they have a jail called the Brampton Jail. They looked it up. I did not look it up. All right. What do we have? Azim says, hey, Sean, I'm an auxiliary officer with the Hamilton Police. Can they transfer me to another city? So you'd have to apply to become an auxiliary police officer here if you wanted to be an auxiliary officer with Toronto. I did auxiliary for 12 years. Great place to be. I don't know what the Hamilton program is like. But if you're moving here, then by all means, that's a great way to transition and volunteer in the place that you're going to be living in if you're moving here. And if you're becoming a police officer here, which is also an option, certainly they take into account and would speak to the Hamilton Police about your history with them. It's a good reference. Motorcycles have different decibel limits. That's the question. The response from Emma. Actually, now they're the same, at least in the bylaw and in general. Your motorcycle can't be noisier than a car. Not really. I mean, they're going to be noisier because you have an engine and an exhaust pipe, and you're staring at it. There's very little muffling. There's a very short pipe, but it's not. You can't have a straight pipe on a motorcycle. There's no real extra that you're provided. And Harleys are not fine. In fact, Harleys, out of the box, are quiet. They're not loud motorcycles. People put straight pipes on or differently baffled pipes 10 seconds after they buy them. Very rarely do you see a Harley roll out of the dealership with their stock pipes on. So that's the bigger issue. People modify them. Let's see here. Okay. Azim says, is auxiliary a good way to lead you to become a full constable? I was an auxiliary for 12 years before becoming a police officer. I was simultaneously serving as a court officer. It certainly worked for me. It wasn't the reason I joined. I didn't join with the intention of using it as a stepping stone. There was a hiring freeze. I joined. I had a lot of fun. I stayed, and I did it for 12 years. So obviously, it wasn't something that I was just doing just to jump over. But Jared says TPS auxiliary, a great experience, and I agree 100%. Yeah, I had a lot of friends. I still have a lot of friends in the auxiliary program. I have people that were lifetime auxiliaries. They had no intention of ever becoming a police officer, and others who transitioned quickly. Did you ever work out of 23 Division? Those are my guys over there. I grew up at Martin Grove and Finch. I've never worked there. I've been there, but I've never worked there specifically. Never worked at that division. I worked at 12 Division, and then I came to Traffic Services. As an auxiliary, I worked at Traffic Services, 32 Division, 33 Division. And as a court officer, I worked at 1000 Finch, at 2201, and then Old City Hall. Okay. LJ says maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday still at 10, then Tuesday, Thursday at 2. Maybe. That could be something. Okay. Question. If police can do traffic stops anywhere, why wouldn't local... Wayne didn't finish the thought. What do you mean? So police in Ontario are police officers throughout the province. We can stop anybody anywhere, technically, because we have police powers. We have authority. But we don't generally drive around looking for issues. And there are issues with issuing tickets outside of our jurisdiction. So we can issue a ticket in a neighboring jurisdiction. Like if I were to go to York Region, I can issue a ticket in York. If I'm beyond York's border to the north, I got to call York to write that ticket because they can write in the neighboring. We have the authority to stop. We have the authority to issue or arrest based on Canadian Criminal Code. But when it comes to HTA stuff, we're going to get a phone a friend and get them to lay the charge based on our evidence. And the reason being is if we write you a ticket, we're going to send you all the way back to Toronto to fight it. And apparently that's not something they want to do. All right. Here's the continuation for Wayne. Police forces patrol the 400 series highways in their jurisdiction to make money for cities. No, generally speaking, we don't patrol the 400. We may be on the 400 on our way to somewhere else, and then we'll stop people there. But yeah, we back people up, but we don't generally hang out on the 400, generally. Is there a no chase law on motorcycles now, or is it more a public safety thing due to officers' discretion? So it's got to be our right reason. We don't just chase people. And for a silly stop sign or something, as much as that is a serious offense, when we chase you, you go faster and you crash, and that's bad. We're going to make sure that you and the public are safe. So very often we'll identify you before we even have an opportunity to turn the lights on. That way we know exactly who you are, and we'll meet you at your house and arrest you if you decide to run. And then we add criminal charges to your regular charges. Zombie says, hello afternoon. Or maybe that's good afternoon or wave afternoon. But hi, Zombie. How you doing? Let's see here. Toronto Police is hurting for money, so hire 30 cops to do nothing but patrol 400. No, that's inaccurate, Wayne. Fake news. We don't hire, Toronto Police does not hire 30 cops to do 400 serious highway enforcement. You are making it up, or you're very poorly misinformed. Wayne continues to say that the GTA, the money goes to the city. No, you obviously don't know how this works. Moving along. Okay. Yeah, they're going on and on. Okay, moving on. Let's have a look what TikTok is doing. Does Metro still have a helicopter? No, we had a trial on with a helicopter, and we no longer have one. Vehicle Valley, what's going on? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. What do we got here? Question about LED lights under a car. That's underglow, so it depends. You can't project light forward or to the back or to the sides. You can only reflect off the ground. And if you talk to Sergeant Campbell, he would still issue a ticket for that. It depends on the interpretations of the officer. I don't have a problem if you're not projecting, strong light forward or back. Dad joke from John. I flagged that for in a minute. I do have to go shortly. George Carl says some things never change. All right. What we got here? Michael says, OPP works 400, not municipal police, although other province or municipal can do enforcement if a unit sees bad stuff. It would save the government a lot of money by not having any enforcement. I agree. Well, there's an argument. Like, if we have no enforcement, then people get hurt, then they go to the hospital, and the hospital spends money. It's all part of the same pocket, right? Fines, Michael says, fines are too low to fund police, courts, and corrections. Yeah, it's not a money-making proposition. There's definitely costs more money to enforce laws than it does to simply wait until bad things happen. And bad things do happen, so, yeah. Lorenzo says, my dad, who worked for the TFS, said most OPP... I'm not even going to put that on my screen. I don't know. Very funny though. You know what? There's good and bad everywhere. Okay, Ryland's. What is Ryland's full username situation here? Ryland's Restoration says, other than auxiliary, what are the best jobs for experience to become a constable? You know what? There are so many different ways to improve yourself and make yourself a good candidate for policing, whether it be languages or mathematics or sciences or, forensics. Whatever unique skills and abilities that you develop in yourself make you a unique applicant who then brings those skills and abilities to make our police service a better, richer, a more diverse environment. I don't need everyone to know exactly what I know. I need people who know different stuff to make me better, so I know how to phone a friend and get the job done. And we always have unique situations because policing is really just a sampling of life everywhere. We go into situations, and sometimes those things have very special, unique issues, and they need out-of-the-box thinking. And when you have that diverse environment and education, you can then speak to some of those things. Whereas if everyone has the same education, they have the same answers. Yeah. I am going to cut today short. I usually do an hour. I'm going to do a little shorter than that. But we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we are going to have Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. We're going to join his radio show. He is going to join our stream. We're going to take phone callers. I'll put that on the screen right now in case you want to write down the number, in case you want to plan ahead and you have intention to join the show in the morning. This is the information. Join Jerry Agar. Call into their queue at 10:30 because 10:35 will be on the air. So 416-872-1010 or text 71010, and you can jump into the show asking questions on the air. We'll have a conversation. We'll be on the phone together. It'll be weird. It'll be wonderful. It'll be what we do tomorrow. So in the meantime, drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and of course, the most important one, smile because it looks good on you. Have a great day, everyone. All the best.
Red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
Just because I saw this comment, the question was, if an officer gives a verbal warning during a stop, how long will it last? Sorry, how long will it appear for other cops? And the answer is never. Doesn't appear anywhere, because a verbal warning is, hey, don't do that again. Go have a nice day. That's a verbal. A written warning, where I issue a provincial offenses warning, is then in our system and it lasts forever. So warnings matter because they will determine whether or not I give you a ticket next time. Now, warnings are not required. It's just an option for officers. They get to use their discretion. I might give you a ticket right off the bat. Another officer might give you a warning, and then I might give you a ticket based on seeing that warning and not give you another warning. That's how it works. Have a great day.